In the early spring of 1912, young historian Thomas Wainwright was rummaging through the archives of Boston's Old State Library when he stumbled upon a peculiar letter, its edges frayed and ink fading. At first glance, it appeared to be a routine correspondence from the Revolutionary era, but something about the seal, a tiny insignia resembling a half-moon entwined with a serpent, piqued his curiosity. Thomas, a man of meticulous habits and insatiable curiosity, had spent countless hours poring over forgotten manuscripts, but this one seemed different. As he carefully unfolded the letter, the words inside hinted at a conspiracy so vast, so carefully hidden, that its ramifications could shake the foundations of what Americans believed about their own history. The letter spoke of a clandestine group of inventors and philosophers whose names were erased from textbooks, who had built devices and written manuscripts that could alter political power across the young United States. Among the most shocking revelations was the mention of a map of the lost colonies, a chart that allegedly depicted secret settlements and hidden resources unknown even to historians of the era. Thomas's discovery set him on a path that would take him far beyond the quiet halls of Boston's libraries. The letter included cryptic instructions, references to hidden locations in Philadelphia, Charleston, and deep within the Appalachian Mountains. Each location hinted at a story of extraordinary bravery, ingenious inventions, and shocking betrayals during the formative years of the United States. Following the trail, Thomas discovered that some of the letter's signatories were deeply embedded in key historical events: the Boston Tea Party, the drafting of the Constitution, even early negotiations with foreign powers. Yet their names had been deliberately expunged from records. Why? And who had erased them? As Thomas delved deeper into history, he encountered other curious figures, descendants of these forgotten innovators, secret societies still operating in the shadows, and coded manuscripts that required a blend of mathematics, astronomy, and ancient languages to decipher. Each revelation brought him closer to understanding a hidden America, a parallel history running alongside the familiar one. One late night, Thomas found himself in the misty Appalachian foothills, guided by the cryptic coordinates. What he found was astonishing: a series of underground tunnels, abandoned laboratories, and manuscripts preserved in near-perfect condition despite centuries of neglect. There were sketches of machinery centuries ahead of their time, devices for communication, transportation, and even early forms of energy generation that predated known inventions by decades. As he explored further, Thomas realized that the lost colonies were not lost due to neglect or misfortune. They were deliberately hidden to protect revolutionary technology and knowledge from falling into the wrong hands. The implications were staggering. Some of the United States' most pivotal historical moments were influenced not just by politics, but by hidden technology and secret societies working behind the scenes.
But the tunnels also held warnings. Cryptic messages scratched into stone walls suggested that certain knowledge was intentionally buried to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. Thomas realized he was not alone. A shadowy group had been monitoring the tunnels for generations, ensuring that only the worthy could access the secrets. As Thomas's investigation deepened, he uncovered the existence of secret societies that had quietly influenced the course of the United States. Names like the Luminous Circle and the Order of the Half Moon appeared repeatedly in the archives, each society claiming responsibility for protecting and advancing certain technological and political knowledge. Some of these societies had branched off, forming rival factions, while others had faded into obscurity. Their impact on history, however, was undeniable. Elections, treaties, and even technological breakthroughs had been guided by invisible hands. Thomas began to question the nature of history itself. Is what we read in textbooks the full story, or just a carefully curated narrative? Back in Boston, Thomas's research began attracting unwanted attention. A mysterious figure started following him, leaving cryptic notes and subtle warnings. One night, Thomas returned to the library to find several of his key documents missing. He realized that there were those who wanted the secrets buried forever, or worse, used for personal gain. Determined to continue, Thomas teamed up with Sarah Ellington, a brilliant linguist and cryptographer whose family lineage traced back to one of the hidden societies. Together they began piecing together the final puzzle, a map that could lead them to the ultimate repository of the lost colony's inventions and manuscripts. After months of deciphering codes and evading mysterious pursuers, Thomas and Sarah finally located the entrance to the last hidden colony in a remote Appalachian valley. There they found an astonishing collection of inventions, manuscripts, and artifacts. Mechanical calculators that predated known models, energy devices far ahead of their time, and writings describing ethical frameworks for using knowledge responsibly. The lost colonies were not just settlements, they were incubators of human ingenuity and philosophy designed to safeguard progress from exploitation. The realization struck Thomas. History, as Americans knew it, was only a fraction of the truth, carefully filtered by those who wrote the books. Faced with the overwhelming treasure trove of knowledge, Thomas and Sarah confronted a moral dilemma: reveal the secrets to the world or protect them until humanity was ready. The writings warned of misuse, corruption, and the destructive potential of unrestrained technology. In the end, they chose a path of careful disclosure, releasing selective insights to historians, scientists, and educators, while keeping the most dangerous secrets hidden. Their decision would influence the trajectory of modern America, subtly guiding technological development, education, and innovation in ways invisible to the average citizen. Thomas reflected on his journey, the hidden hands of history, the forgotten heroes, and the power of curiosity. One dusty letter had changed everything, revealing an America richer, stranger, and more extraordinary than anyone had ever imagined. Thomas and Sarah had barely begun cataloging the artifacts when they discovered something even more startling: a series of personal letters exchanged between Benjamin Franklin and an anonymous correspondent signed only as M. The letters revealed a secret partnership, a plan to use advanced scientific understanding to steer the young nation toward enlightenment, but also warned that too much knowledge, too quickly revealed, could destroy democracy itself. One passage sent chills through Thomas's spine. Liberty, if unbalanced by wisdom, becomes tyranny of ignorance. Hide the light until the eyes of mankind may bear its brightness. Was Franklin himself part of the Order of the Half Moon? The evidence suggested yes, and that many of the founding fathers had known about these secret technologies. Among the lost colony's relics lay a roll of parchment wrapped in oilcloth. When unfurled, it revealed a vast mechanical blueprint, something resembling a fusion of a clock, telescope, and engine. The heading read, "The Chronometric Engine, version 1.4, 1779. Sarah, astonished, began interpreting the equations. It's a time synchronization device, a machine to measure not just time, but temporal variations, almost like it could predict events. The equations bore symbols seen nowhere else, part mechanical, part astronomical, and part mystical. It seemed the inventors had combined science, philosophy, and early quantum theories long before such ideas were known.
Their discoveries drew attention from modern institutions. Representatives from museums and federal agencies reached out to Thomas, eager to study the artifacts. But the tone of their letters felt wrong, too rehearsed, too desperate. When Thomas discreetly visited Washington, D.C., he found references in the National Archives to a top-secret division called Project Meridian, active since 1943, studying anomalous technologies of colonial origin. Could it be that the government had already known about the lost colonies and had been searching for the last pieces all along? On his second night in D.C., Thomas noticed a man in a gray coat following him through the fog-draped streets near DuPont Circle. He confronted the figure, only to be handed an old silver coin engraved with the serpent and half-moon insignia, the same symbol from the first letter. The man spoke in a low voice. "You have opened a door that should never have been reopened. History forgets for a reason." Before Thomas could ask more, the man vanished into the mist. The warning haunted him for days. Thomas and Sarah next traveled to Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's historic home. Hidden behind a false wall in Jefferson's personal study, they found a ciphered notebook written in Jefferson's own hand. It spoke of the Second Enlightenment, a secret plan to reintroduce lost inventions when the world was ready. Jefferson's writings detailed coded correspondence between European intellectuals and hidden American inventors, forming what he called the Invisible Republic. The notebook ended abruptly with a strange line. "The Republic must sleep until 2026, when the third signal awakens." Neither Thomas nor Sarah could decipher what the third signal meant, but they both knew the date was alarmingly close. Strange things began to happen. Electrical devices malfunctioned near the recovered chronometric engine. Compass needles spun uncontrollably. One night, Thomas woke to find the machinery glowing faintly blue, humming with energy that seemed to resonate with his heartbeat. Sarah recorded data, realizing the engine was responding to lunar cycles. Its energy output peaked during full moons, a design feature consistent with the old Order of the Half-Moon symbolism. Could the machine be alive in some way, reacting to time itself? An unmarked black car arrived at Thomas's rented apartment in Boston. A woman stepped out, introducing herself as Dr. Eleanor Chase, Presidential Archivist of Special Research. She spoke calmly, professionally, but her words carried weight. "Mr. Wainwright, the President has been briefed. We need to ensure these discoveries do not destabilize public understanding of our nation's founding. You will cooperate, or we will act under the Preservation Act." Thomas realized that every government, no matter how free, guarded its secrets. But he also understood something else. If power feared knowledge, then knowledge was the most dangerous form of freedom.